Drum roll.
Yay, we're live!
Woo! I like how Molly and I are the only ones partying.
Peter's like, I don't.
I'm just fine with it.
Scared about this.
So,
I'm
Bridget.
So I can view the chat.
You're Bridget.
I'm Bridget. This is my channel. Welcome.
I'm Molly from Magical Molly. We did this last week on my channel.
Yes.
I'm Peter, and I was there last week, so yeah.
So,
you know, you were there. That's fun.
I'm going to tweet out the link here.
Yeah, I got to get the link as well. Oh, it keeps closing.
All right. Let's not use music this time so that we don't get demonetized.
True. Okay. We are live on my channel.
So if anyone wants to ask us questions, comment in the chat or tweet at Bridget or me or Peter.
Yes, my Twitter is @BridgetBooks.
Sarah Night Owl, hi. How are you?
How's it going? I'm just gonna.
It's great to have you here with us.
Yes. Just give me a second to get onto it.
I don't feel like there's ever been an exciting beginning of a live show on YouTube ever.
No, because everyone's like, wait, now what do we do?
I'm live. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
It's like, now we gotta do it. Now we gotta tweet out.
Yeah, okay, so do you guys want to, like, everything is fine.
Same. That's me every day.
Bridget, you're running the show this week. What are we doing first?
So, do we each want to go around? We'll say who we are, and then we'll say what our novel's about. Or, like, something interesting about yourself, because Peter doesn't like sharing.
Okay. My name's Molly. We know that. Magical Molly. My novel's a slasher murder mystery. Takes place in my hometown of Salisbury, Maryland. And someone is murdering queer people in very horrific ways. And a bunch of queer librarians are like, we're the ones for the job to figure this out. And it also delves a lot into, like, religion and how that plays into people's concepts of what's okay to be as a human. And so some of the characters are pagan, and some are Jewish, and some are Christian, and some are atheists, and it all just ties in. And so, and then something fun about me is I spent $52 at Target yesterday buying Taylor Swift stuff because, you know, I sold my soul to her 10 years ago, and if anyone wants to get me a boost on that Taylor thing, I tweeted a link. So, Peter, how about you go?
All right. I'm Peter. I'm currently working on a children's high fantasy adventure novel.
You've been writing for like 8 years.
Yeah, I drafted it out.
Peter in every live show.
I drafted it out in like 7th grade, and now I'm rewriting it.
That was when I met Peter.
Anything, because I don't want to look at a damn thing I came up with in 7th grade.
Yeah.
That's literally like 12 years ago. I don't want to know what the hell was going through my brain back then.
And I'm Bridget. This is my channel. Hello, welcome.
And this is Wendy.
It is like a sci-fi sci-fi book about like people with superpowers and like aliens and
like government conspiracy.
Yes, just like all meshed into one. And I don't want to give too much away, so that's all I'm gonna say. And a fun thing about me, I spent an hour at Barnes & Noble today.
Story of my life. And
yeah, that was fun.
What did you end up getting?
I just got Renegades. I had Self-Control. And I was
you only got Renegades?
Huh?
You only got Renegades?
Yes.
But we can start it now then, because I've been waiting for you.
I know. Yeah, Molly and I are gonna read it together.
Does Peter play Neville in Ravenclaw Rules?
Yes, he does.
He also plays Professor Mate.
I play like every male character.
Every male character that we need is Peter.
Because I'm like your only male friend.
I apologize in advance.
I have other male friends, but I don't feel like asking them. That's a weird request.
My dogs are going to be barking the entirety of this, everyone, and I apologize. Cute puppy, Molly. Thank you. This is Wendy, and she's in a brand new sweater.
Aww.
And a scarf that I knitted her because she gets cold because her little chihuahua fur is not that thick. My parents are like, let's put the heat as low as possible. So we're all freezing.
Nice.
Does anyone How many people are watching? 3 people are watching.
I think one of those is me because I have to have it open for the chat.
Yeah, me too.
Well, so
does anyone have any questions before we do our first sprint?
we could also say our word counts. I know that's like.
That's okay. Peter doesn't want to talk about word counts with me.
No, it's 16,866.
Whoa.
Right now.
Let's see. I don't remember how many words I have.
What is Rich? What do you
have? You go, Molly. I'm gonna.
Okay, I want to go last because I feel like a dick if I go.
Okay. I'm at 19,309.
I'm at 29,556.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I don't want to go.
I mean, we were prepared for it.
Yeah, I mean, we knew. It's okay.
All right, so we're doing a Ready in Spirit?
Whoa. Why did this open? Okay. Yes, I need to pull up.
I'm going to get earphones so I can listen to music on my phone without copywriting us again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apologies for last week for copywriting everybody.
I'm just going to pull up a timer. Google, give me a timer. Okay.
How long are we going for?
We're going to go for, hold on. The timer is like here and my story's over here. Okay. We'll go for 5 minutes to just like start off the live stream.
5? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Real mellow.
And then we can go for longer ones later.
Okay. I'm ready.
And I will give the one-word story prompt is a speech. One of your characters gives a speech.
That's so fitting. One of my characters is in the
Me too, actually.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Wow, I didn't even know. Like
Bridget is.
I think you're clairvoyant a little bit.
I mean, really.
Okay, I got my Outlander music on in my ears. I'm ready.
Awesome.
I gotta figure out where I am at the story. Hold on. Sorry.
I'm just everywhere in the story constantly.
You're like, God, I'm everywhere.
No, because
you guys ever see that sci-fi movie Lucy? And at the end where they're like, with Scarlett Johansson, and they're like, where is she? And she's just like, I'm everywhere.
Wow.
She is omnipresent.
I am ready to go. Just have to. He's not here. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
We're good.
Tell us when to start.
Gotta pull up my timer again. Okay, ready and go. stop. Huh. Hands up.
I had to Google something for my story. So, how many words did we all get?
I got 173.
Got 295. And I stopped to Google. I got a degree. That's what.
I got 224. Yay.
The last sentence I wrote was a way for her to prove his lies to her own intuition.
Nice.
Thanks.
The last sentence I wrote was, the doctor started to take out a knife and the girl tried to move away, but she was strapped in so she would stay still.
Sarah Night Owl said the typing sound is soothing. I think so too, actually.
Yeah, I like it as well.
I made this list recently because I was reading this book. I'm still reading it. I'm reading Dodie's book, A Secret for the Mad, which is about depression. And she said, like, one of the things you should do is, like, when you're sad, make a list of, like, things of happy that are just, like, very specific things or memories that make you really happy. And or like things. And one of mine was, like, the sound of typing because I just think it sounds cool. Actually, one of them was, like, the first time I hugged Bridget in person. Like, no lie.
That makes me so happy.
And I've never hugged in person, so that didn't make it. But yeah, it was because, like, there's a lyric in her song that was like, little things, all the stereotypes are gonna help you get through this one night. And I was like,
nice.
Is Sarah Night Owl the only one watching?
I think so.
I believe
Very
so.
invested. Sarah, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Anything you want to find out about our novels? You should do NaNoWriMo. You said you didn't.
She said, I want to do NaNoWriMo, but I don't really have any story ideas I want to work on.
Well, what if you...
Here's a prancer.
You could write, like, you could Google the story prompts. You know, there are, like, a bunch of story prompts online if you just Google. And you could write, like, a little story every day or something.
A short story or outline. I wrote a poem the other day, and I was like, this isn't helping your word count. What do you do?
Also, if you want, you could always just outline your novel.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I know that's what Ariel Bassett is doing this year. She's just outlining a novel instead of trying to, like, write it.
Yeah.
It could be fun if we did, oh, she said favorite character in your story. I mean, I really love my main character. I guess let's pick favorite character besides our main character, because I think it'd be pretty weird if, like, an author's favorite character ever, like, if J.K. Rowling was like, yeah, Harry Potter's not my fave. Yeah, I love my favorite character, Coda Anastas, which on Twitter I told people at 25K I would release the name of my main character, but then I was like Rick Riordan and screwing with them because that's not her real name. She changed her name, and so I was like, it's not even her name. It's not even her real last name either, because she goes back to her mother's maiden name. So, like, her whole name's a lie. But she is Coda for all intents and purposes of the story, and I love her so much, and I love reading her dialogue because the way I've described her is she's me if I was a very non-talkative person and had a little bit more confidence in, like, my gut feelings and intuition. Like, I kind of second guess, whereas, like, Coda's just like, nope, something's up. Like,
but you said we should choose one other than your main character.
Yeah, so if I was gonna choose one other than Coda, it would be probably Chris, who's the guy that I've read you the passage with Chris, Bridget, where he's like the librarian, he's like Haitian and he's gay and he's like really flamboyant and
I remember him.
Whole scene where he's like, why are you being so dramatic? And she's like, because I tripped over the dead body. And he's like, totally forgot about that. Right. And I give him a lot of funny lines. Like, her ex-girlfriend shows up at one point and she's like, oh my God, so-and-so's here. And Chris is like, I know, I didn't even know she could read. Cause, like, they're in a library. And, like, I'm just always giving, like, the funniest lines to Chris. And Chris is, like, the friend I wish that I could, like, create. Like, if I could create, like, a best guy friend, it would be Chris. So I really like him. What about you guys?
Are you willing to share anything, Peter?
I can. Okay, so
I'm
I
gonna
don't
suss
know.
Peter's not even writing a novel. He's just like
I'm just making it all up. No, I think, okay, so I don't know if my main character is my favorite character. I definitely based him like a lot off of myself. In fact, I think
obviously you hate him.
I think he's an even more flawed version of myself. Wait, I missed that. What did you say? I missed that. What did you say?
She said, so
obviously you hate him.
When you said I based him off of me, like, it's a horrible drag to get. Anyway, so your main character, but who else besides your main character do you like?
This one character who she originally wasn't in like half of it, but then I liked her so much that I like added her into the first half. And she's very just bubbly and adventurous, and yeah, I really like her a lot.
Nice.
What about you, Bridget?
I love my main character, obviously, but other than her, I really like Adrian, who I just got to start writing recently because he like only in like a certain part of the story, and he's really fun because he has the ability to like control fire and like do stuff with fire, but like he's terrified of fire, so every time he's like doing stuff like when he's really embarrassed or nervous and like he starts like smoking. It's just like, what? And he's like, yeah, you know, that sometimes happens. And yeah.
I have a question. Do you guys have any of like, because my story has a lot of unlikable characters in it, and obviously one of them's a killer. But like, obviously I know which one is the killer. It would be weird if I didn't. But do you guys have like in your story like a favorite unlikable character to write? Because I personally am dragging someone in my real life by using a version of their name as the really awful ex-girlfriend of the main character. And so the character's name is Catherine. And she's just like this self-centered bitch who's just like so close-minded and in a sorority. And I have so much fun writing her because she's just like, she's such a foil. Like she so clearly exists to be like, she sucks. And like Coda's very weird and witchy, and then like this is like the waspiest girl ever. And I have a lot of like very unlikable characters going on in the story, and like even the main characters can be very unlikable at times, but I just love writing how obnoxious Catherine is. So what about you? Oh, Peter's different.
Peter gone.
What about you, Bridget? Do you have like an unlikable character you love to write for?
Yeah, like so there's two parts of my story. There's like the fun part with Victoria.
Yeah, you've told me that.
Finding out stuff.
And then there's like
government part where you don't know much and it's all really vague. And I really enjoy writing I really enjoy writing the government scenes because they're really fun, and they're like, I'm trying to make them vague so that you can't really understand what's going on, but at the same time like you're finding out about these different characters. And there's like some people who are like working for the government that don't really want to be working for the government, and then like so you feel for them, but at the same time like they're still doing stuff. And then like there's this one character who I don't really want to talk about much because spoilers.
I like
really cool.
Like, the character in my story who is the killer is not that fun to write because I can't show how absolutely effed up they are because I'm trying to make it not seem like it's them
until the end.
And so like I'm dropping hints so that if you were to go back, but it's like I know in my head, like I have a whole written out profile of like what is wrong with this person, and like when I write the scenes where they're killing someone, like it's not fun in my weird way because it's like it's coming out how messed up they are, but like the reader, So Sarah said a theme song for said character. So if I was gonna do a theme song for Coda, it would be, let me check who it's by. It would be, I mean, now that Reputation just came out, I don't know. No, I'd actually, let me go to my
I actually wrote down songs for my characters.
Yeah, there's one song that there's one song.
You made fun of me for them. So
no, there's one song I think of very specifically. It's by Bishop Briggs, and it's called Dark Side, and that's definitely would be Coda's theme song. And then I don't know what would be Chris's. Let me look at Reputation because I really feel like something off Reputation would be Chris's song. Yeah.
And Victoria, her song would be Waving Through a Window from Dear Evan Hansen. Because it embodies her. Okay.
I think maybe like
whatever you say, Peter.
The really like shady song, "This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things" off of Reputation, like that's whole song that calls out Kanye West would be Chris's song, because he just hates everyone that like was mean to his friends, and he very much hates Catherine. And so I can really picture him being like, "This is why we can't have nice things." Yeah, Coda would definitely, I knew from like the second I was making a playlist that "Welcome to My Dark Side" was Coda's theme song.
Nice. And then for Adrian, his theme song, I said, "What Do I Know?"
On Fire
by Ed Sheeran.
What is it?
"What Do I Know?" by Ed Sheeran.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good one.
Like,
if I was to give my whole story a song, yeah, that's what she said next. A song about that fits the whole story. I like that's so hard because
that is really hard.
like there's some that come to mind that fit aspects of it, like Season of the Witch. Definitely, like I can see Season of the Witch because like it is very much also feeling like a witch hunt to these characters, since it's like, you know, let me look at my playlist again.
Yeah, I gotta look at my song.
My playlist that I never use because I put too many songs with words in it.
That's what I would do.
Jesus, I don't know. Yeah, I would probably say either like Heathens by 21 Pilots, like very much describes the set of main characters that you're following, like the three librarians that you're with, Greta, Chris, and Coda, like you're with them nonstop. And the people who kind of come in and out of their group, I think Heathens would describe them. And I think as a whole, though, the whole story could be described with Season of the Witch. Because even though it's like a gay murder mystery, it is like the idea of like a witch hunt. And it's taking place this time of year in a small town. Do you have a song that could fit your story, Peter? Is it the Game of Thrones opening theme?
Not quite. I mean, possibly. I haven't really thought about that, to be honest.
Well, think about it now. Pick one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Bridget, what about you? Do you have one?
I'm thinking still. Give me some time. Hold on.
Okay,
you answer the other question.
I can share something. I told Bridget the other day I was working to figure out what 3 quotes I wanted to put at the beginning of my story, because every book I read has 3 quotes at the beginning. And so I spent so long figuring out what 3 I wanted and what order they would go in. And they're such a random, like eclectic set of quotes, but these are the 3 quotes that are at the beginning of the book. The first one says, "All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone." And that's the Skyboat song from Outlander. The second one says, "Oh, honey, goddesses don't speak in whispers, they scream." And that's from American Horror Story Hotel. And then the last one says, and I know it's dumb, but I chose it, "But I got smarter, I got harder in the nick of time. Honey, I rose up from the dead, I do it all the time." And that's from Look What You Made Me Do by my Lord and Savior Taylor Swift. There was so many songs on Reputation, like so many lyrics that I was like, wow, this fits. Like there's a lyric in one of her songs that was like, "They're burning all the witches, even if you aren't one, so light me up." And I heard that and I was like, I'm sorry, did Taylor Swift just admit she's a witch? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Either way, the whole album, my favorite lyric on the whole Reputation album that again also really fits my story is there's a lyric in the same song called "I Did Something Bad," where she says, "If a man talk shit, then I owe him nothing. I don't regret it one bit because he had it coming." That's where the story's headed. That's where Coda's headed. She's like, Coda's gonna get real done with everyone's shit, I guess the story goes. Bridget's, I think, playing music, which is why she's muted herself. Bridget, we can't get copyrighted again, folks. We gotta play the music ourselves.
Okay, I think it would be "Rise Up" by Imagine Dragons.
Ooh, that's, yeah. Oh, I can see that. Yeah, with what you've told me of your story, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Peter, does your story start with any, like, do you start your stories with quotes or no? Because I'm like so into that.
I feel like I would. There just aren't many that I've like developed that much. And ones like this, I wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah, I like it.
Submitted my senior quote the other day.
What?
Yeah.
My senior quote. I just submitted that yesterday.
What is it?
I did one from Doctor Who. It was we're all stories in the end, so let's make it a good one.
Literally, the video I just put up it's called "These Are a Few of My Favorite Books," and it's just literally like me putting down books that are my favorite and then putting a quote from the book on top of it. Mm-hmm. And like, have you read Wayfarer?
No, I haven't.
Have you read Passenger?
I haven't yet.
Okay, because like the quote I put down for Passenger like is one word that looks so dumb if you haven't read those books, but if you have, it's like is there. But yeah, I love quotes. I freaking love them.
Yeah.
Like I was always in poetry class, like putting epigraphs at the beginning of my poems, and people would be like, "I think it works without it," and I'd be like, "But I want it." So like,
like when I was in creative writing, and I was like, "There's this one line," and everyone was like, "You know, like I don't understand this one." And I sent it to you, Molly, and you were like, "I get it," and I was like, "Yes, thank you."
What was it?
It was like the parents and like two parents and like the house with the white picket fence, and everyone was like, "What does that mean?"
Oh my god! Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I remember that. People are dumb. I literally on a date last night, this guy mispronounced Edgar Allan Poe's name, which like I didn't really know was possible.
You're like, "Okay, bye."
He was like, "Oh, so you like read it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You into that literary stuff? You like Edgar Allan Poe?" And I was like, "Edgar Allan Poe?"
Was that what the coffee thing was about?
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah.
I was like cracking up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, for the folks at home, let me read you this tweet. I came home and my mom goes, "How was your date?" And I was kind of just like, and she was like, "Do you want to see him again?" And I was like, and like, she was like, "Does he want to see you again?" I was like, "I don't even know," and like, I don't care. And so she said, like, "Well, like, how was it?" And so I literally on the spot came up with this analogy, and then so I tweeted this word for word. This is what I said to my mother. I said, "Do you know when you get a coffee at Starbucks and a new barista made it, so it's like not great but not horrendous, so you drink it anyway because you want coffee and it costs $6? That's how my date / sex was tonight. Not so great coffee." And I told my mom that. She was like, "Wow, that poor guy." And she was like, "I'd rather someone just cuss me out than compare me to like a marginal cup of coffee." Yeah. Now with this 280 characters thing is letting me be very creative.
Yeah.
I didn't like the 280 characters. I haven't tweeted anything that at 280.
Well, it's because like you scroll and they're just like articles.
I saw one that says, I retweeted it. It said 280 characters. Ernest Hemingway's worst nightmare. Yeah. And I was like, oh, only the literary folks at home are gonna get that one.
I liked the one that Netflix tweeted, and they had like all the characters. I thought that was good.
Did you see the one where someone said, for my first 280 characters, here's the first act of Hamilton?
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
Someone used their first tweet to do Daenerys' entire title from Game of Thrones. Like, my first tweet with 280 was so stupid because I like didn't realize I had it, and then when I did, I was like, wait, hold on, do I have 280 now? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first one, and I actually deleted this one.
I saw it. It was so nice.
Bad. Like,
I made mine each. It was all in caps, and it was like one letter per line, and it was like, "I'm going to make them regret this."
Oh my God,
just wait.
So funny.
But
I was so confused. I was like, "What's happening?
What's going on? What is this?"
What I don't like is the little circle because I don't know how many characters I'm at.
Yeah, well, I thought my Twitter was
broken.
I
can't know if I'm over 140
my Twitter was broken.
I kept thinking it was still loading, so I had to wait.
That's what I thought. I was like, Twitter's broken. I need to update the phone. And then when I kept going, I was like, oh man, do I have 280? I was like,
yeah. So then I did 10 spaces, and then I spaced it out 28 times.
Yeah, I was really confused. I thought that my Twitter was broken and that it wasn't loading. And then when I was like, oh, yeah, this is my first tweet of 280. I should really delete this because it's so stupid. It says, wait, hold up, hold the F up. Do I suddenly have 280? Have I joined the glorious ones who get to tweet without restrictions? Is this real life? What a time to be alive. I don't even know what to write with all this beautiful space. Here I am, world.
And then guess what? Everyone has 280.
I know. I thought I was like one of the people, like, because they were random.
I loved that though. I was like, oh.
I'm gonna delete this. That can go. All right, are we gonna write some more? Or?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
How long are we going for this time?
We'll go for 20 minutes this time.
Ooh.
Oh boy, big leap.
Whoa.
Get my Outlander music back on here.
Let me just put in the 20. Is everyone ready?
Ready.
I don't really know what I'm gonna write, but okay.
Neither do I.
I'll figure it out along the way.
Just free write. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, wait. Oh yeah, I have that written down. No, I don't. Never mind. Give me 1 second.
This is the most organized thing ever happened.
Okay, I'm ready. I had to write down my word count.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, and go. 10 minutes left. 1 minute. Okay, stop.
It's really intense scenes.
Yeah, so did I.
My last full sentence written was, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but Liam's not the killer, Coda. Liam's doing some fucked up shit though. So Liam's the one who I decided, I was like, no, let's not have a good love interest. Let's just fuck up. How many words do we all write?
Let me see.
I wrote 942.
Let me find where I am.
I wrote 818.
Hold on.
Well, I probably wrote 1,500 or something.
I wrote
12,000.
I wrote, hold on, 1,046.
What kind of scene did you write?
Me?
Yeah. You're not gonna tell us anything.
Yeah, Coda, Liam, the love interest, they don't, this whole story is taking place over a few days, and it's occurring to Coda that she actually doesn't really know anything about this guy, and that's starting to not add up in her intuition. And so she says to him to do this thing to see his aura, which is a thing I can do in real life. And she says, do this. Because he tells her his backstory, and she just knows upon hearing it that it's a lie. He's saying all this stuff, and she's just and it's in code, and she's just this is all a lie. Something's a lie here. And there's a thing that some people will do, psychotic people or people who are trying to convince you of something, is they'll mimic you, they'll posture. And so she had shared this trauma with him, and she had this background, so he was copying it back to her, and she was not stupid as he wanted to buy it. So she says, do this thing so I can see your aura. And his aura comes up black, which isn't necessarily bad, but in this case it is. And she's like, fuck. And so she thinks he's the killer, which he's not. It's stated very early on. You get a third point of view that the killer is watching the two of them. So it's not him, but something really fucked has happened. And then it gets to the point where she's going through his Instagram feed, and he realizes that she caught on to what he did. He did something really fucked up. He's not the killer, but he did something really bad. And her friends, and it's jumping back and forth between that and the killer's getting the next person, and Greta witnesses it, and Greta's running to Coda's house, oh my God. And it was very intense.
Oh, I never gave a
yeah.
A word.
That's okay. So what was going on in your scene there, Bridget?
It was very interesting. Someone got a leg chopped off.
That's great.
Wow.
It's kind of hard to explain. She has the ability to heal herself. Yeah. New character that I just made within the span of the last half hour. And then that scene ended. Her leg was still not fixed yet.
Okay, so we have some questions in the chat.
Oh, and then I got back to Victoria, and that was really fun.
We have some questions in the chat, and then I thought maybe we could do the NaNoWriMo tag.
Yeah.
So some questions in the chat are very off topic, but Athena for Ravenclaw Rules is funny. How did you cast the characters? Was it random? And I'm assuming she means Bridget with Ravenclaw Rules. So.
Oh, okay. It was whoever was free, and then and then I was like, okay. And I originally thought it was going to be like a short thing, and then it turned into a long thing.
Was it going to be a short film? And then...
I thought I was just going to do like a short little series or whatever. I don't really know what I was planning.
Like a little mini-series?
Yeah. And then I was like, 7 seasons.
I remember that.
Yeah. Sarah asked Molly, do you still hoop? I haven't.
Also, hold on, random thing from the last question. Is also, I made the characters and I based them off of like some of my friends. Yeah. And then I tried to cast those friends, and some of them weren't free, so then I cast other friends.
Yeah.
Who were free.
I do hoop sometimes. I don't really remember the last time I did it because, like, I just haven't felt like it. Like, I have my hula hoops. They're over there. Are you guys going to go see the movie Wonder? I'm not because I honestly don't care. I know it, like, I should or whatever, but.
I haven't read the book yet, but I own it because my mom read it for book club.
After this live show, I'm going to go see Murder on the Orient Express. So.
Ooh,
is that out?
That is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah, I figure it's fitting for what I'm doing. Okay, let's do
that.
NaNoWriMo tag. So question number 1 of the NaNoWriMo tag, and this was created, I'm pretty sure, by Christina Horner.
Oh,
yeah. How many times have you done NaNoWriMo? This is my 4th time.
This is my 3rd time, but I've also done Camp NaNoWriMo.
I think this might be my 3rd time. I've done Camp NaNoWriMo like twice. Well, 2 years.
How did you find out about NaNoWriMo, Kat?
Bridget.
I think Kat as well.
So Kat from Getting Aztec, basically. Yeah. What was the name of the first novel you attempted with Nano? We went over mine. It was called Teacups, and it was garbage. What about you guys?
Untitled.
Untitled.
Wow, amazing. Mine was Ethan, but that was with Camp NaNoWriMo. The first one I did with NaNoWriMo was the bookstore.
Yeah, I haven't titled this one yet. Number 4, give us a 1-sentence summary of what you're writing this year. We can skip that because I feel like we've
been over that.
Beat that dead horse, what we're writing. What's the best writing advice you've ever been given? I mean, some of my stuff's really cliche, like just say said, which we talked about, that whole dialogue tag thing.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't necessarily like advice I've been given, but just something I've come to learn about writing that is advice I now give. Whereas like if you have an idea, like if you're inspired by like some other story you consume to add that element into your writing and like make the story go in a weird direction, even if it feels when you're writing like that's way too weird and it doesn't match your original vision, you should do it, because like all of Burning Adela got switched when I got like very into the show Reign about Mary Queen of Scots. And the basic like driving plot of the connection across time between her and Mary Queen of Scots wouldn't have come if I didn't like, because when I was writing it, I was like, this is weird. And right now I decided last night, I watched the movie Berlin Syndrome and was like, yeah, I want one of these characters, I want the male love interest to be actually like really effed up mentally, and be kind of like not a good person either. And even now as I'm writing the scenes, like it does feel weird because that wasn't my initial idea of the character, but every time I've like not gone with that, I haven't liked it. So that's like,
I mean, that's just part of the creative process.
Yeah, like, and I've heard Christine say that too, is it's weird because it doesn't fit like what you think the characters are going to end up doing or the story's going to end up doing. But I would say that's like, it's like I've heard that in various
Don't go with it.
And it's to just like, if you get a weird direction for it to take, just take it. Like you can fiction edit because you got that idea for a reason. So that's mine. What about you guys?
Really just write, just do it, because
you struggled with that.
Nothing's going to like make it better any more than just practicing, and getting the experience of writing a story. So, even when you have writer's block, just really, push ahead.
What about you, Bridget?
I think, I like to just write, but also if I'm adding a new one,
get a dog.
Get to know your characters.
Yeah.
Because if you don't really know your characters, then it's gonna be more difficult. And I think also knowing your characters makes you really like your story a lot better because
I would say that for sure. Like your characters should want to be should feel like real people, you know. Like Adela and like all the people who populate that story, even characters who are very side, like Bridget's read it, like Fyra is such a side character, and even like she feels like even if like you don't they said this about Stranger Things, one of the actors said like even if like it's not coming across in the writing, the writer should know everything about that character's life.
Right. Yeah, and I mean one thing that I experience, and not everyone experiences this, but with all of the really well developed characters that I come up with, even bad guys, I become like genuinely sort of attached to them. You know, like I feel like I know them, and even if it's a bad guy, like I would have trouble killing them off if I came to
I think when you kill off one of your characters, like I think like essentially like if you were writing a part of your book where like you would want a reader to cry, then like you should cry when you reread it, because like I cry when I reread scenes in Burning Adela. One thing I did, like I learned this in an acting class when we had to because you would have to know your characters in acting, and they would like sometimes tell us to like go write a day, like your character, like what they did all day. Something I did this year, since the main characters are librarians and there's a lot of paganism, like, and literary terms being dropped and unexplained, because I'm kind of like expecting the reader to like figure out what they're talking about, is I made character profiles and I listed what every character's favorite book was, because I feel like that is very important. And so like I'll tell y'all what my character's favorite books are. Coda, the main character, her favorite book is Frankenstein, which again I think is I think it's very telling what the main character's favorite books are. Greta's favorite book is A Map for Wrecked Girls by Jessica Taylor. Chris's favorite book is Pride and Prejudice. So yeah, like those are the three characters, and then like the love interest says his favorite book is Frankenstein because he's mimicking what she's saying. Like Catherine doesn't have a favorite book. Like Greta's roommate Sage, her favorite book is The Secret Life of Bees. They're like really like white good old boy friend Justin's favorite book is Holes. The mayor's favorite book is Hard Choices by Hillary Clinton. Like, and I spent a long time, like I have like all of the characters and I wrote them in different colors, and it was like when I start a story, I read like how old they are, what they look like, what their orientation is, what their religion is, like, and I think like Bridget said, like that helps, like, because if you don't, like, if you can't tell someone everything about your characters if they were a real person, then like why would the reader care either?
Yeah. Also, though, I've like made up characters within like while I'm doing like a writing experience. Like, okay, just go. Like I don't know where you're going.
But like I think the main character should be fleshed. I'm now realizing like how backlit I am because I forgot to turn this light on. But it's too late. I don't feel like getting up. The next question was, did you ever take a year off from Nano and why? No, I didn't. So.
Since I started in 2015.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so no for everybody.
I've written something every year.
Yeah. What's the biggest inspiration when figuring out what to write? I like hate inspiration questions because the way Neil Gaiman said it is like he's like people always. I'm like roughly quoting, but this is like a thing Neil Gaiman said in an interview. He's like people are always like, oh, like where do you get your ideas? And he's like, no writer knows where they got any of their ideas from. He was like, people think you're gonna give this profile. Like if they ask a writer that enough, a writer's gonna be like, oh, well, you have to go down this alley in the middle of the night, knock 3 times on a door, and go into the basement, turn on a light, and sit in the chair, and then the idea will appear. Because it's like I remember I remember little things that made me think, oh, this should be this, but never like the whole concept. Like I remembered when I wrote Burning Adela, we were in a German studies class, and they were telling us how the Gothic people who existed before the Celts and everything, and like before, like that there's almost no documentation of them. They were almost lost to history, and that unlike the Celts who really and the Romans who really let women rise to power, the Gothic people did not, and like a woman couldn't rule a tribe. And I was like, what if we like wrote something about the Gothic people in Germania? But like it was just like my teacher said something and I had a thought, and like this was like I read Stephanie Perkins' murder mystery and was like, that sucks. And I was like, I want a better one. And I was like, I'll do it. And I was like, what kind of people are they killing? And I was like, I'm gay. They're killing gay people. There we go. Like that. Like, but yeah, I say just like observe life, like just little things. Like in Burning Adela, she wears her hair in very complicated braids. And that's just because I like how Daenerys' hair looks in Game of Thrones with the braids. So I made it that Adela's hair was always braided and stuff like that. But yeah, I never sit down one day and I'm like, it's come to me. It's not like Moses with the 10 Commandments where you like talk to a bush and then you come out from the hill. What do you guys say? Do you have the magic idea basement? Like something?
Yeah, well, I mean, I find that, you know, every story idea I've gotten has come in a different way.
Yeah, that's my thing.
But something that they all have in common is I think they all come when I sort of need them, not when I want them. You know, or like it's never like, oh, you know, ideas come and then they kind of come. It's like when I'm not expecting it, it happens, and it happens because it's like supposed to happen.
I try to go back to my childhood mindset a lot, and this is something I'll be teaching in my first online writing class, the power of what if. But it is like the power of what if, because Stephen King said like all his greatest books were start with what if, and I had to write a lot of short stories like every week for a fiction class in college. So like every week having to come up with like another short story was a lot. And one week I knew I wanted to tell something that sounded somewhat in the style of like a Neil Gaiman fairy tale. Like I wanted it to have like a Stardust vibe, or like, you know, like a modern fairy tale narrator who was like breaking the fourth wall, but it wasn't like as classical as Grimm.
I love that, yeah.
And so I wanted that voice, and that's all I knew how I wanted to write. And so I thought back, like, well, what are things I pretended as a kid? And I had this thing as a kid where when I took baths, I would like pretend to be a mermaid. And I remember when I was a little kid, I always thought, what if there was actually like you could travel through your bathtub into like a magical portal to where these mermaids were. And so like literally the first sentence of this story that I ended up turning into class, and like it was one of my highest grade stories, it was called Bedtime Story, and the opening sentence was, have you ever dreamed of a hidden world beneath the surface of your bath? And it is about like a main character who
that is really cool.
And like that's something I found helpful, especially when I'm writing short stories or like something with fantasy or magical realism, as I try to think back to like what I thought of as a kid. But so yeah, like Peter said, sometimes it's random. I wrote a really crappy novel called The Night the Dwarf Came to Dinner because I was just like, I had just started watching Game of Thrones, and I was like really attracted to Peter Dinklage, and I was like, let's write a romance where like the main love interest is a dwarf. Like that was my thing. So what about you, Bridget?
Well, for like Ethan and like this one as well, like I really like, I've tried to base it, like I like books with powers and stuff like that. I've like, like that's like what I watch, what I consume in like the medias. So
in the media.
Yeah, so I've kind of tried to go down that route and like do stuff with it. Like this book has like superpowers and stuff. And then like Ethan, which was the first time I did Nano. And then for the bookstore, I wanted to write like a romance, and I didn't really know what I wanted it to be about, but then I was like, what if they like met in a bookstore, and that would be like really cute, and like, so then I had like the cute introduction, and it was really good and fun to write, because I needed something for Nano as well. But then this year, it was like a week before Nano, and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm writing.
Oh yeah, I remember you were like, I don't know.
And then I wanted to do something with superpowers, and then my friend Sophie was like, nah, you shouldn't do that. You've done that before, and it's been done so many times. And I was like,
she's very contrary.
And then I tried to think of something.
I feel like all writers too have like and this isn't bad, and I think it's weird. Like there are writers like Alexandra Bracken who can just like hop into every genre known to man and write. Like I've never, like you don't read an Alexandra Bracken book and then like one from her other series and then think, oh, they were so similar. But you know, but most authors have like their MO. Like I love Sarah Dessen, and I know what I'm getting when I get a Sarah Dessen book. And even Stephen King, whose stories are so vast, you're like, this is gonna be effed when you go into it. And so like there definitely are elements, and I used to like try to rail against this with myself because I thought it was uncreative that similar themes kept showing up in my stories. But like if you think about it this way, Walt Disney obviously had an issue with his mom because like no Disney character has a mom. Their mom dies, their mom's not there, their mom sucks, their mom's an evil stepmother. Whereas like in my stories, literally I don't recall ever writing a story, like like a piece of fiction, not necessarily a poetry, but a piece of fiction, whether it was novel or short story, the main character, side character, random character, where someone wasn't sexually assaulted, or like that wasn't an element that was in play. And to me, I'm like, that's something I've dealt with. That's something other people deal with. I like when I see it in books because it validates it, and it's something that happens so often in the world. Just like, you know, like I was talking to Danny from Danny Darling, and she was like, yeah, she's like, I've literally never written a book where like the main couple wasn't gay. And I'm like, and then people, and I think that's normal to like have your, like I have similar shit that I love to show up. Like I love mermaids coming into things. Like, like there's a, like, she's not really a mermaid in Burning Adela, but like they reference mermaids briefly. And like my only published short story is literally called Think of a Mermaid Lagoon. And I feel like, you know, Neil Gaiman does the very weird, macabre fairy tale thing. And so, yeah, I think it's a rarity to be an author like Alexandra Bracken who can just like hop everywhere. Like that's amazing. She's literally the only one I can think of off the top of my head that does that. I literally, like even Edgar Allan Poe, like his MO was like disturbing, like confined torture stories of death. And like, that's something I would say too, is like find your MO. Like, so like, because when your friends are like, oh, you've done that before, like who effing cares?
Yeah.
Do it again. Like like, because sometimes we watch authors step out of their MO and it doesn't go well, aka The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling.
Right.
And it's like if you found your niche and like it's good, then go with it. Like Colleen Hoover is making bank, and like I don't even care anymore what the plot of a Colleen Hoover book. Like the new one came out and I didn't even read the back. I was just like, oh, yeah, she wrote it, I'm gonna buy it. Like that's just because there's people who will like what you're doing, and you know, you never. If someone's like a like renowned murder mystery novelist or romance novelist or like historical fiction novelist, no one's ever like trying to do that. But I feel like especially in YA, there's like this weird pressure that like every book has to be vastly different. And it's so, like Adam Silvera, like every book is so gay. Like I've never even read them, and I know that like every book's like, and there's a gay couple and something goes wrong for them, and it's like it works. So. That was a lot.
Yeah, so I tried to think of something else, and then it didn't really happen. And I was like, but this idea. And
your idea is so good, though. When you sent
and then Peter helped me flesh it out.
Yeah, she sent, Peter
like a day.
Sent me a long list of it, and it was really fascinating. I was like, this is cool. Like, yeah, and that's dumb going like, oh, like you've done stuff with powers. Everyone's done stuff with powers. There's things with powers happening.
Like, it's so much fun.
Like television, everything. Like Catherine, like I literally texted Bridget. Was like,
well, that's why she said that. Cause like everyone's done stuff with it. So
who cares? Like everyone's done murder mysteries. Like everyone's done like you know it's whatever. Everyone's done it before. Who cares? So the last question. There's two more questions. One of them it says, read us the first sentence of one of your novels. So I know Peter's not gonna. I mean, it doesn't have to be the one you're doing now. I know. The first sentence of Burning Adela because like since I've edited that book for 2 years straight, I like know what it is, and it's like it's pretty good. It's they burn the witches and praise the gods is the first sentence of my book that I'm desperately trying to get someone to publish. Y'all know what the first sentence of this story is. Halloween is the best night to hide a body.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share a first sentence from something? Not from any of your novels?
I mean, following that, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right?
I gotta stop going first then with this thing.
Well, like, I don't think I would have shared anyway. My first sentences aren't good.
I have so much trouble with first sentences.
Oh, they're my jam, but we know that. Okay, let's move on. The last question is, why do you love writing? I never know how to answer that.
You go first.
Me? I don't know. I don't.
Well, I said Peter could go first. It's
okay. Well, you know, I sort of love it and hate it, but generally it's just sort of I just sort of feel compelled, and so when I do it, and when it's good, it's like the most gratifying thing in the world. And you know, doing it is just something that I just constantly feel compelled to do, you know.
I can't imagine doing anything else, like primarily with my time. And I remember even as a little kid just being like I had stories and I wanted to tell them. And I think it's like you don't become a writer, like you just are, like you're just born a storyteller, like you're just born someone who can who has stories to tell, whether they're real or fictional. And I just love and I love all forms of storytelling, and that is one of the reasons Taylor Swift has always been one of my favorite artists, because her songs are stories. And I love just listening to her new albums, or reading poetry or a book or something, and you just see a line that you're just oh my God. And then if you can those lines that become so immensely quotable, everyone knows the quote, not all who wander are lost, whether or not they've ever picked up the Lord of the Rings, or
yes, and that's one of my favorites, so thank you.
Everyone knows quoth the raven nevermore, everyone knows two households both alike in dignity, and fair Verona where we lay our scene. And so the idea that if I could ever create a line that was as known as something like that, what a way to be remembered. And
really,
it's a beautiful way to immortalize feelings, and immortalize, for good or for worse, aspects of people. This Catherine character is made out of a lot of bitterness, but it is very funny and cathartic to make her the most unlikable version of this real life person. And it is funny to I don't know, to just, and especially again, Burning Adela was so fun because it was so out of reach of my life. It was never anything that I wasn't going to go travel back in time through a magical inn to another world. Yeah, it's just, I feel once you just start doing it, it's, I don't think you wake up one day and you're you know what? We're going to write a book today. It's just, you start realizing as you get older, as you grow up, you're I have stories and I need to tell them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those ways that you can sort of dig through all of your thoughts and questions about the world and life and everything, while also telling an entertaining story.
Well, yeah, and it's I don't know, it's just the idea that what is it from? Is it, I think it's from a Cassandra Clare book, which I don't like, but it's it's just, I think it is because Emma has it tattooed on her, and it says words have the power to change us.
Yes.
And I just think it is so true, because just the stories are I always say whenever someone's oh, I don't like reading, I'm well, stories and reading was the first form of entertainment, and without the written word, there never would have been literally anything that defines human culture, and without the written word.
And I mean, humans, some people say what really makes humans and not just animals is the ability to tell and hear stories.
Well, yeah, and the ability to catalog and preserve an emotion, the invention of the analogy and the metaphor. And sometimes I think back to the people who were the first to do something. Shakespeare was the first person to give away the ending. And I always say to people, if they're ever oh, Romeo and Juliet's not that good, I'm okay, I need you to put yourself in the scene. It's the 1500s.
I love that.
Because that had never ever been done in the world. And so I told Bridget before we came up here, I was watching Gerald's Game. Well, my parents were watching Gerald's Game, and I'd already seen it, and my dad had seen the trailer, and in the trailer they showed that this guy dies, but my mom hadn't seen the trailer, so she had no idea. And it was just crazy to watch her reaction when he died. She was oh my God. And so the first times someone sees that, and I always think the first time it happened, because I remember when J.K. Rowling did the whole maybe, because I remember back in the day it was the whole will Harry die, won't Harry die? And it was the first time in young literature, children's literature,
and she loved that
that had ever become a question. And then Veronica Roth saw that and was okay, I'll do it. And yes, Triss dies, guys, if you haven't heard already. But I remember but Veronica Roth, I don't think ever would have had the guts or the idea to be able to kill off her main character if J.K. Rowling was we could do it. And like in the first book I ever wrote, I kill off my main character in the end, and it was something that like never would have occurred to me growing up that you could do. I'd be like, you can't.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Whereas like nowadays, you're like, anyone could go at any minute. You're like,
Yeah.
Thrones, and you're like, everyone's like, oh, Daenerys and Jon Snow can't die, and it's like, can't they though? Like,
It's like watching Supernatural. It's just like, you're gonna come back. You know, it's fine. They'll die.
What about you, Bridget? Like, what are your feelings on this? 'Cause Peter and I are just over here like teaching a philosophy class.
Well, you don't want to interrupt.
Bridget's like, hold on, let me take notes. Like,
I really like from a young age. I really liked stories and like hearing stories, and just as I've sort of said, like just kind of enjoying them. And I think out of that, it's grown that I want to be able to write my own and like kind of do what like other people have, like not do what other people have done, obviously, it's like plagiarism, but but like to be able to create my own stories that people can enjoy. And I think that's just like a really, because it's so different from doing anything else, because
yeah,
when you're writing, it's all coming from your head,
yeah.
and then other people can like experience what you have experienced, but at the same time, like they're seeing different things than like what
right.
you
And it's all immortal, and it's constantly unique.
And
Yeah.
and like everyone else can get a different thing, whereas like, because here's the thing is like,
and like seeing different people's perspectives and stuff. I think.
Yeah, I mean, what
really
Neil
cool.
Gaiman says is that after he's written it, it's your book, you know, and
Mhm.
everyone who's
Yeah.
reading Coraline is reading a different Coraline, or
Yeah,
you know,
like,
Yeah.
in E. Lockhart's book, We Were Liars, there's a big debate. It's this huge debate over the book as if this set of characters were this or if they were that. And everyone drew their own conclusions. And E. Lockhart confirmed what it was for her. But, like, I mean, my published short story, Think of a Mermaid Lagoon, like, I have in my head, it's a story that's never resolved. And I have in my head, like, what it is and the explanation, but like I ask other people and they read it, they're like, so what was it? I'm like, well, like, what do you think it was? And I also just think the idea of like, it's 100% coming from you, because like if you make a movie, like you write a screenplay or you direct it or whatever, there's still like a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of collaborative minds going into, and even music. Like, yeah, Taylor Swift pretty much writes all her lyrics herself. Like, she is a solo lyricist for the most part, except for like the occasional songs. But still, like the music and the other,
there's the engineering and
like, you know, like the certain sounds and this, and if she makes a music video and just her image and like her marketing team, and like they're all brilliant. Like, who's ever running her marketing team, like, should get an award. They've made a cult out of us. But like again, like that's not like, it's not like just Taylor Swift alone is doing it, but like J.K. Rowling alone was just like, here's the world of Harry Potter. And like, then the movies came in. But like, that's crazy to think about. Like, sometimes I just think about George R.R. Martin's brain, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What in God's name did you come up with all like it's insane. Like, sometimes I just think about like things that authors came up with, and I'm like, and sometimes you're like so inspired, and sometimes you're like, pack it up, we're never gonna get there.
Yeah, I know.
So good that you're like, I should stop. Like, it's like, you're like, why keep going? They already figured it out. Like, yeah, and that's what I think is so amazing about writing, is it's the oldest cataloged form of entertainment and storytelling, and it's the only kind that is like 100% only comes from one person's brain, unless you like write a book with someone else, but still it's like, it's you too. Like, yeah, an editor comes in and is like, clean this up, but like, it's never the editor's idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's cool to be able to like see what other people come up with, because like, as you kind of said, like, it's crazy. And like, also I think if you give someone the same prompt, it's really interesting to see how no one's going to write the same story. Like, you always have your own voice. Like, you're going to come up with your own idea. Like, maybe you don't have an idea, like Sarah said, like she doesn't have an idea, but like, if you just choose a random writing prompt off of the internet, there's not going to be another story like it. Like, maybe you'll have similar vibes and similar meanings.
Yeah, like,
but like, it's always going to be your writing.
Yeah, like, some witty novels asked me like, oh, how do you like make sure it's unique? And like, literally, like, I was reading this book recently called An Enchantment of Ravens, and like, that's becomes a thing where people are like, oh, this is a good book for people who like that book, because it's like, yeah, I want the same thing just over and over. And so it said it was a good book for people who liked A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I was like, oh, that's me. So like, at the book. And like, yeah, it is a fairy world, and it is like a captor-captive story, and the main character is a painter. But even though, and there were like seasonal courts, and there were beasts, and so like on surface level, it looked like a carbon copy of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it was so not that story. It had a lot of the elements that made all of us who loved ACOTAR love it, but it was still like, I would never be like, oh yeah, an Enchantment of Ravens was just a ripoff of ACOTAR. Like, it was in the same genre area, but it was like so its own thing. Because like, you could say that about like, think about like Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan. Like, those stories are so insanely different, but like, it gets to the point where you're like, it's kind of the same deal though. Like, kids travel into some other.
You could say that for anything as well. Like
Harry Potter, like, well, you know, King Arthur was, you know, this, and Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones, and Reign, and the, like, you know, is people to go, how's it unique? And there's like that saying that's like, there's only like so many original stories, and we're all just retelling them over and over again.
Yeah.
Even like Romeo and Juliet. Like, I mean, Shakespeare didn't make that idea up. Like, that existed. Like,
there was actually a poem. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was the epic poem of Tristan, and he's old, and who the hell knows who said something before that? Like, it's just like, it's, if it came from your brain, then it's your idea. I mean, like, you can use, like, I mean, and here's something we do in poetry is like, we'll use words or styles of specific poets, and at the top you just write after whichever poet inspired you. So like, I had read this poem by Olivia Gatwood where she referred to this man she was in an abusive relationship with by Johnny, which obviously wasn't his name. And it was like, Johnny likes this, and what I mean by that is this. And I loved that style. So I basically did the same thing, and it was all my words and my story, but I was using Johnny, and I was doing it in the same writing style, so it just said after Olivia Gatwood. And I think, and you know, and I've read Olivia Gatwood poems that are after somebody else. And I just think like the chain of inspiration is like so amazing.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see like when people read your work,
what they think,
and like how they view it,
how it appears in their mind, and then how they interpret it, and
My favorite example of that is I wrote a poem like 2 years ago that was about a night spent with another YouTuber and the aftermath. And to me, it was like so obvious what the poem was about, like romantically. And then kids in my writing class thought it was about like a relationship with a transgender person that like wasn't working. And I was like, I mean, I see where you get it. That's not what it was. But, like, yeah, take it. Run with it. Like, there's always that saying where, like, some author, I forget who, I think it was, like, Robert Frost or something, like, would attend classes where they were, like, teaching his work. And he'd be like, wow, I didn't know I said all that. Like, and, like, I remember the first time that happened in a writing class where I wrote a short story and, like, the main character's favorite animal was an elephant just because my favorite character was an elephant. And then my writing teacher, John, was like, oh, my God. And, like, the gesture to memory, and they're in a mental institution, and it's, like, their mind. And I was just like, yeah. And, like, John always said to us, he was like, if someone found something in your writing, he was like, just pretend you did it on purpose.
Smile and nod, yeah.
I had a typo once where I had 2 chapter 44s. And John thought I did it on purpose because each chapter started the same way and then ended slightly differently. And he was like, it's brilliant. And I was like, yes, thank you. Spent a lot of time putting that there. So, like,
yeah, and I think that's what makes me think when we're reading in like English and stuff. I'm like, did they really mean all the meanings, or like, are we just reading really far into this?
Like, well, my teacher John said, like, that was consciously we mean all the meanings, but like on our surface, we don't know what we're doing. Like, maybe we do know, and but at the end of the day, what the hell does it matter? It's a story, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So, do we want to do
all stories in the end?
We're all stories in the end, aren't we? We're always changing. As long as you remember who you used to be. I will always remember when the doctor was. God, me too.
Then cries.
I literally like can't talk about some Doctor Who episodes without crying. Like the second my mom brings up Amy Pond, I'm like, you need to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna need to go because I'm getting emotional. All right, we're writing, sprinting it out of here.
Yeah, let's do one more. This one will be 10 minutes.
Oh boy.
Whoa. Are you all ready?
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec. Gotta set it up.
Because I'm not.
Basically. Okay. I gotta move my hand warmers. Okay. Where's the novel? It's here. Okay. Wait. Sarah said she just watched that episode with Amy.
So sorry.
Wow.
Did you cry, Sarah?
Your emotions.
If you didn't, you have no soul. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It's okay. I was very attached, so then I had lots of emotions.
All right, I'm ready. Are we all ready?
Yes. And go. 5 minutes left. One minute. It's over.
Well, let me finish the sentence.
Get it, timer.
Okay. I was writing another killer scene, so someone's about to get murdered. Let's see how many words we wrote.
Peter, you want to go first?
Yeah, I wrote 380.
I wrote 472.
Okay, hold on.
I'm lagging.
Where did I stop? Hold on. Okay. I wrote
600.
675. I'm at a total now of 31,559 words. Update that online. Update. Past that 30K page. So let me check our chat here. Okay, so we don't have any new questions. Anyone want to say anything? What were you guys just writing scene-wise?
Sorry. I'm now past 20,000. I was just writing Victoria has woken up for her day. I wrote that last time. But then now she's had someone knock on her door and Adrian's come in. And he's helping her get ready for the day because he knows what to expect and she has no clue. Because it's her first official day at camp.
Okay. What about you, Peter? What's going on in your story?
I just wrote a scene where like they woke up and it was cold.
Oh my god, both of our characters woke up.
One of mine woke up from being chloroformed, so like kind of the same.
Kind of.
So we've gone for about 2 hours. We will be doing this again next week, same time, same place on Bridget's channel again, and then the last of the month will be on my channel. Yeah. Hope everyone's having a good NaNoWriMo.
Yes, sir. I see you. You watched that episode. Yes, it's very sad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see that. Yeah, and it's like.
Yes. Any last words about your novels?
It's going good. You know, it's like it's getting there. You know, I only have like less than 20,000 words to go, and I don't know if I'm gonna like wrap the story up in that or if like it'll go past 20K.
Yeah, you know, mine's going. The thing is, I think I just I work at a very slow pace, as Bridget can tell you.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
Because everything you said is just it's just giving me cause to think otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, like 8 years, like really.
Yeah, that's
very quick. Speedy.
Well,
Sorry.
Yeah, to our one viewer who's watching us live, do you have any other questions? I think no one cares about this. Do you have any questions you want to ask us? People will watch it later, but like no one cares live. Do you have any questions you want to ask us?
Any more questions?
Do you have any questions for each other?
What's your favorite scene you've written so far this month?
I mean, I really like a lot of the early scenes in the library where Chris is just being a huge smartass. Like, I like the one I read you where he's, like, coming in and asking her to check the news so it'll feel like gossip. Yeah, the character says, like, have you checked the news? And she's like, no, I haven't been on my phone. You have a phone. You could check it. And he says, I like to hear about it from other people. It feels more like gossip that way. And I like the scene where he says he's surprised he didn't know Catherine could read. And like there a lot of like because it's getting darker as it goes, but the setup is very comical, and I loved writing all the scenes where like Chris and Greta are just being like this huge comedic relief to like these horrible murders that are happening. And like Coda's so like creepy, like she'll talk about the murders in like a way that like you know it can't be her, but she'll just like I read you a scene, Bridget, where she says makes a very weird way of describing how the character that died was mutilated. And Chris is like, oh my God, don't say it like that. And so, yeah, I'd be like, there's just little scenes where Chris would pop up, like, you know, and he's the character that pops up when he's not supposed to be there. Like, they're having a conversation with somebody else and he, like, shows up. And, so yeah, I love the scene where they're like, first chapter, they're having lunch. And he says that he wants someone else to tell him the news because it feels like gossip that way. And then she reminds him she tripped over the dead body, and he's like, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, the main character trips over the dead body in the first chapter. See, what happens is, did I tell you guys how the prologue, how this gets set up?
Yeah, you read me the prologue in the first chapter.
I don't know if I told Peter. Did I tell you, Peter?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so like the killer, it starts prologue, and you're watching the killer, and it takes place in my town, and like right now, and so I fictionalized that this bar in my town was having, like this didn't actually happen, but it pretended that this bar had like a Halloween attraction, like haunted house that they had made on their outdoor area, and that there were like fake bloody limbs around it. And so the killer left this corpse with a bag over its head there. And the killer hadn't started doing the Bible verse inscription yet. So it was just like this bloody, like, they purposely like made it look kind of comedic. And so they put it there. And then the next morning, because it's Halloween night, Coda's going to work, and she lives like, you know, it's like in my town, like Coda lives in this old recording studio, and then like through this alley is the bar, and then across the way is the library. And so she's walking, and she trips over it, and she thinks it's a Halloween prop, and she's just like annoyed because she's late for work. And she gets into work, and Greta's on Instagram and is like, oh my God, have you seen this? And she's like, what? And she shows her, and because it was at a bar and it was Halloween night, everyone thought it was a prop. And so there's just all these pictures on social media of like drunk fraternity and sorority people like taking pictures with this corpse. And then at the same time, there's like a headline that's like, a Halloween murder victim, like body has not yet been ID'd. And Coda's like, oh my God, I just tripped over that. And everyone's like, you tripped over it? She's like, I didn't mean to. And so like, that's how you're introduced to all the main characters, is Coda tripped over the dead body and thought it was a Halloween prop left out, and she's annoyed about it. And then she comes into work, and then like Chris comes in, and he's like, why are there enough cars for an episode of SVU out here? And it's just like it's like way too funny how you're being introduced to this horrible murder has occurred like literally like right outside their door, because like Salisbury, the streets are all right next to each other, so like this literally happened like a hop, skip, and a jump away from like where they work, where Coda lives. And I just like, and I find it really funny, and I tell people, and they're like, that's a really weird sense. Yeah, so that is funny. And so then like my favorite scene is she's talking to Chris later, and he's like, why are you in a bad mood? And she's like, because I tripped over the fucking corpse on my way into work. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That could like it's just like so not in his head that matters, because he's just treating it like gossip. They're like, well, someone died in Salisbury. So what about you, Bridget? What's your favorite scene you've written?
I really enjoyed when she first got to camp, and when she was introduced to like Adrian and like Darcy, who I had randomly made.
I like the name though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Big Pride and Prejudice fan.
I haven't read Pride and Prejudice.
Girl.
But the way they're introduced is like he knocks on her door, and then comes in, and basically she doesn't know who he is. She doesn't know about like superpowers or anything. And then he starts smoking, and she's like, what is going on with you? And then he's like,
oh, he's smoking, not like,
no, not like smoking. Like he's like,
that's just rude.
There's smoke coming off of his body.
2017.
Yeah, no, there's smoke coming off his body. And let's see, where is it? It's here, I think. She is like, hold on, let me see if I can find it so I can actually quote what she says. So she starts to see smoke coming off of him, and when he saw, he quickly hopped around, trying to brush it off and blow himself to let the fire go out. Victoria trailed off, not sure who the stranger was walking into her room. Sorry, I'm Adrian. That happens sometimes when I'm embarrassed. I live in the room across the hall. And like, he like holds out his hand, and she's like, okay. And she's,
nice.
Yeah, and she's kind of like, the smoke coming off of you, and he's like, oh yeah, it does this kind of, like, I have fire powers. And she's like, what?
Yeah, I like that both our scenes are like people being really blasé about very like off-putting things.
Yeah.
I have fire powers. I tripped over Ed's dead body on the way into work, so you know.
Because like that's how she finds out that people have like these superpowers. She's just like, yeah, like everyone has like weird powers. And she's like, what? Why am I here?
What about you, Peter? You want to share anything about a favorite bit?
Well, I think my favorite scene that I wrote this month was the one that you read, Bridget.
Oh, yeah.
The main characters get captured, and they're kind of being interrogated. And so basically, sort of the premise is that they have this important, very valuable possession, and so it was confiscated from them, and they're trying to get it back. And the king who captured them was like, well, actually, it turns out that this thing belonged to my like great-great-grandfather, so I'm keeping it. And then one of the other characters is like, well, it actually belonged to my great-great-great-great-grandmother. So and yes, we are kind of related, but we're angry at each other right now.
Do you guys, either of you, have a title for your novel? Because I don't.
I don't.
Yeah. I have two possible titles.
What are they? Do you want to share them or no?
They're secretive.
They're secretive?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't have a damn idea. Like, I don't know.
I only told Peter. I'll tell you when we're off air.
Off air? Okay. I mean, like, because I decided to wait, because I used to title things beforehand. I never, like, Adela was, Burning Adela was originally called, like, Adela and the Celts, and then I didn't even make her Celtic. I made her Gothic, so it was stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even begin to know what to call this. So, like, I had like, a comical, name in my head, which is a line in the story, which I'm pretty sure is one Chris also delivers, and it's one of my favorites, where like they're trying to like map out like who's been murdered, and Chris says, oh my god, this isn't Guess Who Gay Edition. Like the game Guess Who. Like, did you ever play that as a kid? But I thought like Guess Who Gay Edition would not work. But it was like when I tried to think of a title the other day, my brain immediately was like Guess Who Gay Edition. And it's like, no, that can't be it.
Sarah said she couldn't think of any questions, and then she said, that's funny, I want to read it already. I don't know who you're talking about.
And the cover's like really bloody. It's like
Are you about mine or Molly's or Peter's? Well, Peter didn't read anything, so like,
yeah,
not Peter's.
All right, well, I'd say we're about done for this week.
Yeah.
So just a reminder, next week, same time, same place, on this same channel. We're not jumping until the last week.
She wants to read your book, Molly.
Oh, thanks.
My book is hated by all.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Including me.
Yeah, so that's it. I'm sorry, I'm tired.
So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.
Happy writing.
Keep writing. Yes, Sarah, join Nano. Okay.
Stay magical.
Bye.
Bye.